Last week we were talking about some plastic things, plastic waste, and I also used all the sentence and I sent it to the live group too. So you could check all the sentence I'm using to try to announce something, the sentence I used to asking you a question, and also the link I used. I all uploaded to the live groups. Okay, we're talking about the trash, the garbage, the plastic garbage, and we're talking about some idea that people think the strobe is more important than the waste fish net. But fish net do costing the marine life be killed. We're talking about last things, and we're talking about those international dolphin safe label, and it is not truly saving all the dolphin. Still have dolphin was killed by those fishing industry. And what are we talking about? We're talking about there are 40% of our fishing products that was bycaged and throw back to the ocean. That is a huge number, and I think the actual number is much, much higher than 40%. Okay, I will also translate in Chinese. 上个礼拜我们讲过的这个课程里面，我们谈到了就是废弃的渔网，那谈到了废弃的吸管，然后我们提到了一些概念，就是为什么废弃的吸管会让大家更有关注力。然后呢，那些废弃的渔网反而是大家比较不注意的事情。我们谈到了这个，然后我们有谈到大概40% 的，就是渔获其实是被捕捞起来，而且是不是我们要的这样子的渔获。然后这些渔获通常就直接被丢入海里面，而且事实上这样子的数字可能更高。我们谈到了这些事情。然后呢 ，Okay, so this week we're still watching a little bit of this survivorship, and I will think this is the last week we will watch this video, and then I will jump to the other topics. So if you have any question about the fisheries industry, you could email me, okay? Just using the email to connect me and let me know the question you had. All the information I can offer you within 2 hours is not enough, totally not enough. So you guys need to start asking me questions. Let me work. I'm boring at home. I think you too, right? Okay, so I'm going to watch this video. Start by the minute of, 27.
Are highly reluctant to talk about what a lot of that plastic is, which is fishing nets and fishing gear. We hear a lot about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch and say, oh, isn't it terrible? All our cotton buds and plastic bags are swirling around in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. 46% of it is fishing nets, discarded fishing nets, which are far more dangerous for...
I want you guys to remember all the number he mentioned in these videos might not be true, okay? And I also prepared another link that try to correcting some information in this video. I think William offered you guys a link in English last week, so you better just go check it too.
Marine life than our plastic straws, because of course they're designed to kill. Now this is so crashingly obvious. Why aren't we talking about it? Why aren't even the plastics campaigns talking about fishing?
How had I not heard about this before? Fishing vessels discard a massive amount of ropes and lines, and this was a major problem. Today, even some of the most remote places on Earth were awash with fishing gear, like Henderson Island in the Pacific Ocean, and Svalbard in the Arctic Circle. In fact, looking closer at some of the whales that washed up in the UK when my journey began, I discovered fishing gear was the main trash in their stomachs. This was the whale in the room that no one was talking about. I even found that longline fishing sets enough fishing lines to wrap around the entire planet 500 times every single day.
Okay, let's stop right here. Did you hear the keyword I want to know? This keyword is long line fishing. In Chinese, we call it 延绳钓, which means following along with this long line. We have lots of the hooks in here. And you can see the word I type in here. with over 3,000 hooks, and it can be 100 kilometers long. So you have to throwing with net, of course, hook with some kind of meat, fish bait, and you're throwing that into the ocean. It's spending about 8 hours to throwing that, and spending about another 8 hours pulling back. And all the fish bait and hooks will attract different size of fish. But if you are a small fish and you eating the fish bait and you are hooked, and then you are dying, right? Your activity is like you're hurt, injured, you are dying, which makes you as an easy food. So other bigger size fish will come to eat you. And then the bigger size fish was hooked. And then top level of the fish, such as a shark, such as a sea turtle, will be also hooked because it's spending a long time. And seeing this video, seeing its PowerPoint slide, you can see the sawfish, the sea turtle, and the lion and the dolphin will be attracted by this. Looks like an injured fish, like eating them and be hooked. Okay, and the fish hook we used, here, this type is very harmful. You can see here, it's another tiny hook. All the fish who eating the fish bait will be struggled tightly. And even the sea turtle, like open the mouth and eat it, can be hooked very tight. But now we're using this kind of a shape. This shape of fish hook is better for the sea turtle, but also not good for all kinds of the fish. Okay, this is a long line fishing with a very long line and over 3,000 of the fish hook on it. Okay, it's quite a very harmful way to fishing. Then we go back to the video.
Although there isn't a single fishery in the world that deliberately targets sea turtles, 6 out of 7 species of sea turtle are either threatened or endangered, not because of climate change, not because of ocean pollution, not because of plastics in the ocean, but because of fishing. But this is an issue that nobody wants to talk about.
Again, if this was true, how come I'd never heard about it? All the headlines I'd ever seen focused on plastic straws, so I decided to look into the research. A global study estimated a conservative 1,000 sea turtle deaths from plastic per year. However, in the United States alone, 250,000 sea turtles are captured, injured, or killed every year by fishing vessels. If a single sea turtle with a straw in its nose went viral, then why wasn't this front-page news? When I went on the websites of leading marine organizations who tackle plastic pollution, I found pages and pages encouraging people to stop using everything from tea bags to chewing gum, but no mention whatsoever of what to do about fishing gear. That is, if they even mentioned it. Instead, plastic straws seemed to take up 99% of what these groups were talking about, which became even more shocking when I found out plastic straws only accounted for 0.03%.
Okay, again, the number in this video might not be real. Okay, 0.03%, how to count it? It might not be real, okay? And I want you guys to give me some opinion. Why you think we only focus on plastic straw and all the social medias talking about the plastic before? The plastic straw, not the fish net. Why?
Because there was a very viral video of a plastic straw stuck in the sea turtle's nose, and I think really starting from that point on, people starting to relate plastic straw with endangering of marine lives. Whereas for fishing net, I don't think there has been any video that is at the same popularity. So if we want to change this, No, and also, I'm actually shocked at, although you said that the number wasn't accurate, like 0.03%, but I'm actually shocked at how many turtles die from being netted every year.
Okay, Jala, that might not be true number. The death number of the sea turtle might not be also real. How to count it, right? How to count it? You have to think about it. Oh, I want to mention that again. All the number mentioned in this video might not be true, okay? And I want to explain that why the social media focus on this trope. Because it's very easy way to get this trope in your life. We use it wildly in our life when we're drinking something. And something we physically use as people. Yes, we don't see the net. Yes, of course. Yes, Kyla, you mentioned that before, just like the way we eat chickens, because we didn't familiar with those chickens. So we eat this. We eat those chicken without harm feeling. Yes. And they use the sea turtle, this video, this bleeding sea turtle videos as a teaching material. I was saying that teaching material to make you truly feel something. As a teacher, my teaching strategy will be using some symbol, some item, some topic that you guys familiar, so you could understand what I'm talking, right? So all the social medias, they focus on this trope. They just try to awaken the public person to realize this problem and start pay attention on plastic, okay? Actually, their target is to make people focus on the plastic, but start by plastic stroke, okay? And the fishing companies pay other off to cover stroke instead of the real problem. Yes, might be. Yeah, yes, might be. The fishing company might pay more attention. And I want you guys to think about the reason we pay attention on the plastic trope might not as the reason I told you is a teaching strategy for me, but might be only, yes, people only focus on these tiny things, but rather than thinking about the fish net. It might be a whole problem to this whole education system. I want to explain that in detail. Education is a way that your teacher selects some element for you. And since you guys are in higher education level, so even I select some item, you could ignore, you could select it by yourself. But for younger people, like the people in elementary school, high school, you know, even a senior high school, they didn't build up, they didn't develop it, their own learning skill. So whatever teacher teach them, whatever teacher selected for them, they just accept it. It's not really good things, okay? Right, I'll explain it in Chinese again. 我觉得教育是这样子的一个过程哈，教育是老师帮你选择一些材料，但是你们是在高等教育的这个体系底下。那对我来说呢，我会选择吸管当成一个教材，那是一种教学策略，因为我觉得我必须要从你们熟悉的事情去教导你们，所以你们才会有感觉。那我一开始就如果从废弃的渔网切入的话，你可能会并不了解到底是什么是废弃渔网，因为它跟你比较没有关系。但是也不是所有的教学都是用这种策略，有很多老师是真的只会专注在吸管，而他们不了解说这个世界上有很多很多的其他的塑胶垃圾。那特别是比较年轻的孩子他们在国小、国中、高中的时候，老师帮他们选了什么材料，他们就学这些材料。这样是比较偏颇的。好，那我是希望说你们都已经是高等教育的学生了，说抛出这样子的议题，我告诉你我的教学策略，你可以选择接受或是不接受，但是你要做的事情是去做一些 research， 你要去不管你是 Google 它也好，你去看 journal 也好，就是你要去做很多的 research， 这样了解哈。Okay, let's go back to the video.
This was like trying to save the Amazon rainforest and stop logging by boycotting toothpicks. It was barely a drop in the ocean. If fishing gear was such a huge problem, I wanted to know why my favorite plastic organization wasn't talking about it. So, according to the Plastic Pollution Coalition, what is the main source of plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch?
Microplastics. For the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, I'm mostly finding microplastics.
Well, the latest study actually showed that 46% of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is fishing nets alone, and the majority of the other garbage were other types of fishing gear. So, wouldn't that be the majority?
No, I wouldn't say the majority of the plastic in the gyres fishing nets. It's a lot. It's a mix of things.
But a majority means over 50%, and fishing-related garbage.
Yeah. So if it's close to 50%, that's yes, plastic fishing nets. There is nothing that would compare to that ratio as far as one item, you know. But the overwhelming thing is that it's plastic fishing nets.
Is there something that people can do to stop this fishing net trash?
One thing that you could do is eliminate or really reduce your intake of fish, and to really let those populations.
And I want to tell you that this guy's, the way he do the interview is in a very sharp tone. You know, most of the people will not be able to answer those questions immediately. And also, I want you guys to know that for me, I'm working in a certain specific area. I will only focus on specific things. You know, not everyone knows everything. We only focus on the area that we familiar, we good at. And what we're facing about the fishing net is giant problem. It's very huge problem. It will not just solve this problem by only interview one person. It's a giant problem that need many discussions with many people together to find out the answer. So the way you have to think about it, the way this video choice to presenting and emphasizing his opinion, the way he choose might not be real, might not be a good way, okay? Might be wrong. Okay, thinking about that, it might be wrong. Here we're talking about the crude oil. Let our media talking about the crude oil is, you know, much more harmful than the commercial fishing. Fishing have many different ways. Here we focus on commercial fishing.
Oil slopped ashore. But in fact, the fishing industry in the Gulf of Mexico destroyed more animals in a day than that oil spill did in months. Because large areas were closed to fishing because of the possibility of being tainted by oil, marine life actually benefited from the Deepwater Horizon oil spill because it got a respite from fishing.
Okay, here I want to ask you guys a question. We do improve our fishing equipment. We have a very good fish net, like almost invisible under seawater. The fish cannot see it. It's quite good. We have the sonar to detect where is the fish and how huge is these fish groups. And we have a giant fish boat that could, having the equipment that could be suddenly frozen those fish meat under the -40 degree, Celsius degree. We have a great equipment, but do we really catch more fish? Do we really, having that kind of a resource, do we catch more fish than before? Type in your answer, please. Now, 那我希望你们都打字给我，让我知道说，就是你们的感觉，就是我们从这个影片里面看到了，的确我们把这些捕鱼的器材都升级了。那我们是不是真的有抓到更多的鱼呢？ Okay, Shelby, give us a question. He said maybe the population of this fish will decrease. Okay, right. I want you guys to have this kind of opinion. I want to ask your opinion. And they will catch us faster rate at a faster. Yes, they catch faster rates. Yeah, Devon use good opinion. You use the word rate. It's very good opinion. Maybe more effective, but not more fish. Yeah, Jella, your opinion might be right. I want to hear you guys' opinion because we'll discuss this answer later. I think maybe no, because when we improved equipment, the fish also reducing. Yes, I do. Okay, every time we're talking about things, for me, I was talking about the quality and the quantity. Okay, the quantity might be easily to say equal to the weight of the fish weight, how many kilograms we catched. This is the quantity. And what is the quality? I will use the word as fish size. Okay, as the fish size. Do we really catch bigger size fish, or we try to narrow down the mesh of this fish net and try to catch a smaller fish just to increase the total weight, total volume of the fish? Right, we'll keep watching this video a little bit and you will find out the answer. Just remember the answer you type here and we'll see. Okay.
Although I finally felt like I was on the right track, I couldn't help but feel frustrated that the constant media and global attention on plastics and fossil fuels were distracting from an industry we hear almost nothing about with a much, much greater impact on the sea. Digging deeper, I discovered this was also true when it came to coral reefs. With scientists predicting the loss of 90% of reefs by the year 2050, the only mainstream narrative on why reefs were dying was climate change. But hardly anyone was talking about the fact fish were vital to keep corals alive.
The ecosystem on coral reefs is heavily based on recycling. When these animals excrete, that is food for the corals. As fishermen come in and catch the fish, not only is the fish suffering, but the products that the fish release into the water is food for the corals, and the nutrients to replace them and grow them up again will be lost.
Fishing has become the major threat on many reefs around the world, from the Middle East to the Caribbean, where 90% of the large fish which prospered there for millennia have now disappeared. So our oceans were clearly at a turning point, and I needed definitive answers.
Okay, I will do a briefly summary. That the fish need the coral to live, and the coral also need the fish to survive, because the coral reef is by the polyps, the coral is combined by the coral polyps. 是它们珊瑚是由珊瑚的水螅虫去组成的 and those polyps need plankton as a food. And those plankton 浮游生物 will use the fish dropping 鱼的排泄物 as a nutrition resource. Okay, so it's actually a very tight circle for each other. Now we kill the coral, we catch the fish, and we catch the fish won't be having some dropping as a nutrition to the plankton, and the plankton will die, the coral polyps will die, the whole system will collapse. Okay. And there is a very interesting resource I want to offer you. You know, even coral reef died, we still could make it, we still could rebuild it by using some kind of a sound that recorded from the healthy coral reef. And if we played this sound loud, use a speaker, underwater speaker, we play this sound loud, and it attracted the young fish to go to this dead coral reef. And they tried very hard to find out the food, they're dropping there, and the plankton attracted by the fish dropping. And we have a rich resource of plankton. And those coral polyps, they are floating in the ocean. They will choose some place that have a better nutrition. And then they will locate it and regrow a coral reef. So actually, by playing a sound of a healthy coral reef could rebuild a coral reef that already dead. Okay, I will stop right here. I just lead you guys to watch a short video that talk about that dog could smell the COVID-19. And the research is very new research from Finland. It's published last year, very new things. And we're talking about a dog can smell the COVID-19, but I want your opinions. Yes, Animals do have a very spatial abilities, much better than human. But if the dog can smell COVID-19, so good, what a news, right? But why we didn't employ some dogs right now to detect COVID-19? Why we didn't do that? The answer is related to how we training them. Okay, go, give me some answer, typing something in your word. 刚那个影片里面有讲到，狗可以闻到 COVID-19. They were exposed to the smell and the virus before. Yes, because the time of the training is too long. 不会啊。The training time is not very long. 一只狗可以活15 The training is not very inconsistent performance. Maybe. 嘉乐说他可能会有一些就是不固定的一些表现。Yes, might be. Dog is an animal, right? Dog is an animal. An animal have their feeling. They have an emotion. They can sometimes be angered, be pissed off, and be interrupted by other things. He mentioned about a dog can be smelled 100 times per day. And will that all in the same situation or different situation? The dog will have different mood, and they use the trick. They use the tiny food as a bonus to attract them. If one day this dog is no longer be attracted by this kind of snakes, and they'll quit, right? This is uncertainty. Have to care the animal too much? Feeding? No. Okay, animal is the optimal way. How can dogs quit? They just don't work. They just lay down and don't work. Shelby, give me the answers. No registration later. Actually, all the dogs that trained to smell the drug in airport, they have license. They have a working license as a human. They are true employee. They have a health insurance as human. They are guaranteed they will have a good life after they retire. So Shelby, you don't have to worry about that. The registration later. They even have a license. They pay better than me. Okay, we'll keep watching the videos.
Since the middle of the 20th century, humans have succeeded in extracting from the ocean immense quantities of wildlife. The estimate is by the middle of the 21st century, if we keep...
The things I want you to realize is every fish will catched by seagoing boat. Seagoing boat means a boat that go very far distance to catching fish. Normally, they are very huge size. They catch a lot of fish and have a higher technique than the small fish boat. 我刚讲这个 keyword seagoing fish boat， 它其实就是一个远洋渔船。那远洋渔船他们搭配的渔网啊，跟器材都非常的好。Okay, the video you watched, and you see that the color is blood, actually bloody color, red. The truth is, all the fish was catched, was bleeding. And it's guaranteed all those fish was catched by seagoing boat will die. Even they throw back to the ocean, they'll die. Okay, this is the truth I want you guys to realize. Because all the fish we saw in supermarket, they were clean. You know, they didn't have bleeding. You don't want to buy a fish that bleeding in the supermarket. You want to see something very clear and clean. You know, just put on the plastic dish, and you could see a carton on the bottom, and that used to suck the blood. Everything was cleaned, made up, so you won't feel so disgusted.
In the middle of the North Sea in the 1830s, a typical fishing boat would be able to catch 1 or 2 tons of halibut every day. But today, the entire fishing fleet there catches about 2 tons of halibut across the entire year, which means that halibut is more than 1,000 times less abundant today than it was then.
We are at war with the oceans, and if we win this war, we're going to lose it all because mankind is not able to live on this planet with the Dead Sea. It's the total industrialization of fishing that is the problem here. we are pretty much destroying everything at rapid speed.
Okay, stop right here. I want to hear your opinion. Type in some words for me. Without fish, we human could not living by ocean. If the ocean without fish, can we still survive? 如果海洋里面没有鱼的话，我们还有办法生存吗？ Just give me this answer. Type in it. Okay. The slides you're watching here, you will see a very easy concept. The bigger boat, actually less and less fish. We could catch only smaller size of fish. Go to this page side, and I want you to write down this word. 向食物网底层捕捞. I want you to record it, write it down in your notebook or somewhere you want to record it, because this is a very important concept. You know, fishing down to the food web. Food web 就是食物网 food chain. The food chains will combine as a food web. And the average animals inside this food web is important. You remove one animal, the totally web will be crushed a little bit. They will be reformed to other structure. And if you remove too many of the animals inside, the whole web will be crushed. So we are now fishing down to the food web. First of all, we want to catch a big fish like shark, like tuna, and then without tuna, we catch other middle-sized fish, and then goes to very, very tiny fish. But you can see what is in the very bottom of this food chain, of this food web. It's plankton, it's algae, it's marine plants, it's coral. Okay, we will highly reduce the number of those algae, but we can't incubate them. We can reproduce them in the lab. As I think mentioned before, the green algae, we could use it as a peel, as a protein nutrition. Let's say a file you can see, like we could extract the protein from the algae. The PDF file mentioned about we could extract the protein. The protein could be manipulated. So we can create artificial beef, artificial chicken by using this kind of a protein. So we can even get some food we're familiar to eat. We could still create some food but only use the algae. So the answer might be, if the fish all extinguish in the ocean, we human will find a way to survive. Okay, the human might not be extinguished or totally died. Some of us could still survive. Okay, this is my opinion. And we'll go back to watch the video again.
Commercial fishing was essentially wildlife poaching on a mass scale, catching up to 2.7 trillion fish every year, or up to 5 million killed every single minute. No other industry on Earth killed anywhere near as many animals as this trade, let alone wild species that we barely understand. This has led to global fish populations in some cases plummeting to near extinction. But perhaps one of the most shocking facts of all came from one of the world's leading fisheries experts, estimating that if current fishing trends continue, we will see virtually empty oceans by the year 2048. The more I learned, the more devastating this fact became, as I began to understand just how interconnected each species were with each other, and even the role they play in maintaining the chemistry of the ocean and our planet's atmosphere.
It sounds just mind-blowing, but the power of animals moving up and down through the water column in terms of mixing is as great as all the wind, waves, tides, and currents in the seas combined. And this has a huge impact on the physics, the chemistry, and the biology of the seas.
All this churning of the sea may be one of the ways the oceans help absorb heat from the atmosphere. As animals swim through the water column, it creates a powerful downwelling of the warmer surface waters to mix with the colder waters below. And although more research needs to be done, the decimation of marine life may be interfering with this process and contributing to warmer sea temperatures. The bottom line, the oceans and the life within it play a much bigger role in climate than we ever expected.
Okay, this is a quite very new zero rate. That talking about the marine life could actually control the climate change. So there is something I want you to go Google right now. The keyword you have to use as this one, as I send you here. You will use the keyword whale, migration, carbon dioxide, and the PDF. Okay, I will focus on whale because they are huge size fish. If you use these keywords to search, you will find some document that talking about the effect of the whale migration. Actually, when they swimming, follow the current or out of the current, they were stirring the water. Actually, they're doing migration annually from Hawaii to North Africa. It's a very long distance of a migration. They try to finding out the food, they want to breed their child. And this kind of migration, actually helps those plankton to move from this location to other location. So they work very hard by just swimming. So they carry a lot of things. And not only horizontal way to moving, they will have a vertical way to move upside and down. That cause the temperatures mixing. And so I want you guys to Google it right now. Use the word I gave you, the whale, migration, carbon dioxide, and PDF. I want you guys to save those links and finding some times to read it. Okay?
Trawling was by far the most destructive form of fishing. The largest trawl nets are so big they could swallow whole cathedrals or up to 13 jumbo jet planes. The nets drag heavy weights at the bottom, scarring the seafloor once abundant with life, leaving nothing but a barren wasteland behind. This was just like bulldozing pristine Amazonian rainforest.
It mentioned about trolling fishing, 拖网渔业, which means they use some kind of a very heavy, the metal iron board in the bottom, and they use some floatable on the surface. This fish net will be pulling by a boat. And so for the better understanding, I will show you a PowerPoint slide. In this PowerPoint slide, you can see the trolling. Okay, the trolling net, fish net is structured like this way. They have a boat here to pulling the fish net, and it was in the bottom of the seabed, and they pulling, and the net and the metal they use in the bottom of this fish net will keep hitting the coral, will stirring the land, the soil and the seabed, and then they scare the fish and the shrimp and other marine life. So they will be, floating up, jumping out from the seabed and be catched by the fish net. They're using this way. But this is a very serious way to doing this process. You can see this picture here on the right side. Before trolling, after trolling, all the corals, all the marine plants would die. And this is the picture was taken by the solar system. And you can see average black spots here. Average black spots here. It's a fishbowl. It's a fishbowl. And this yellow line is the way, is the path they're using the trolling fish net. They just stirring the land. It's quite terrible because if one fishbowl use this technique to catching fish, fish could run away. You can see this path, fish could run this way or this way. But so many fishboats as a panel, they are doing things together, side by side. There is no even a gap. There is no even a tiny gap for other fish to escape. And you see, line, here is a line, here is a line, here is a line, here is a line. They're not only doing this side by side, they're doing this one by one, again and again and again. It totally wipes everything on the seabed. And the coral is growing very fast. They could grow about 10 centimeters per year. I mentioned before, in the healthy condition, they could grow about 10 to 20 centimeters per year. And the sea plant is just like the grass on the land. They also grows very fast, but we don't give them any time to regrow. This is the point. This is the problem. We didn't give enough time for those plants to regrow. OK， 刚刚这段话里面我们提到其实是拖网渔业。那你看到在这个 PowerPoint 里面的左上角这一张是在拖网之前，其实海床上还有一些其他的生物。你拖网之后，海床上什么都没有了。那这些生物其实是可以快速复原的。像珊瑚，它一年可以长10到20公分，我们之前有谈过。然后像那些海底的海草啊，这些海中的植物，它们其实是很像陆地上的杂草，它们长得非常快，好，其实几天就可以长得回来了。但是你看到这个图底下，每一个黑色的点都是一艘渔船，它们紧紧靠着彼此，然后往前拖网，而且一排接着一排接着一排接着一排。这是2003年的一个卫星照片。那这个照片告诉我们，基本上一次又一次密不透风的这样子的拖网，结果就是这些植物跟这些海底生物根本没有机会，没有时间可以重新长出来。OK， 我们要讲的就是永续渔业这个东西其实很空洞。那我先给你一个连接，我刚刚有跟你讲，就是你看到这个连接里面的话，你会发现这个 sustainable fishing 它是一个非常非常空洞的东西。那 how to manage those kind of fish resource and how to minimize the environmental impact， 这些都是一个好像非常标语式的一个说法而已。所以我们到底要怎么样去确保，好，就是我们抓的鱼是对的，然后是好的。所以说我要跟你讲，我把这个东西给你 survivorship curve， 你用这个单字去 search， 然后告诉我你的东西找给我。OK，It's talking about which age the populations in different age. When they're a child, normally the animals breeds a lot of a child, like a fish. They breed a lot quantities of the child and the baby of the eggs. But most of them will be eaten by other fish while they were very young. And while they are elder a little bit, they are strong, so they will maintain a population for certain period of times. And then while they get old, normally they won't grow bigger. They maintaining the same size. They're just getting weaker and weaker, and they will be died soon in the old age. This is so-called survivorship curving. By knowing different kind of species, different kind of animals, by knowing their survivorship curving, we could identify maybe this time is the best time to catch them. Okay, just kill a few of them will not actually totally crush this species. But how many? It highly depends on the species. And you know, our fish net will not helping us to identify the different species. The fish net will just catch all the fish, right? They couldn't separate it. They just catch all the fish. So, and we will have to spending lots of time to doing research to focus on each different kind of a fish. That's a little bit ridiculous. It's a huge process. So before that, what can we do? Before that, before we knowing what we are eating, we better just not catch them all. Okay, this is the point I want to